Hey everybody, I'm Donovan Brooks with Dojo Armed Defense, located in the beautiful upstate of South Carolina. Posted a Q&A prompt to our Facebook page the other day and had some good questions posted. I figured I'd make this little video and address a couple of them. There were two that are going to be longer answers, and so those I will address in videos of their own and go into depth on some of those. So if you don't hear your question answered in this video, know that I will answer those in a subsequent video. So one of the first ones I got was from James, and he asked, what would I have as a prerequisite to carry a concealed weapons permit if I was giving the test, which I can teach CWPs. I don't very often. Now that the state of South Carolina offers them for free, I really encourage people to save their money, go get the class from one of the people that offer it for free, and then spend your money coming to see us at Dojo to learn how to shoot your pistol, because in your concealed weapons permit class, you're not going to shoot very much at all and not really learn about how to run your gun effectively in a defensive scenario. They will cover the laws, and the shooting qualification varies by instructor. So for the state of South Carolina, really I just need to see you fire 25 shots. That's about the end of the prerequisite as part of the Second Amendment bill that they passed. So it's a constitutional carry state, and I'm all for that. I'm a Second Amendment absolutist, and I believe everybody should have access to life-saving tools, regardless of what they are. Nobody should have a monopoly on violence. And with that said, anybody that decides to carry a firearm defensively absolutely has the right to, but responsibilities begin, where we decide to take our rights. And so the question is, I think, a little difficult to answer, because I would have trouble stipulating to somebody what they should be able to do in order to carry. Because everybody definitely has that choice. So the question for me really is, what level of competency would I like to see in people if they decide to carry defensively? It is worth noting that when you do decide to carry a firearm on a regular basis, that without a baseline skill level, you could be introducing a variable into a conflict that could cause more harm than help. So knowing how, to effectively use your defensive tool is crucially and critically important if you intend to implement it to save your life or the lives of someone you love or someone innocent that you might not even know. And what does that skill set look like? What level of proficiency should you aim for to have some confidence in your ability to carry? Because I don't think any of us would want to introduce something into a situation that could hurt someone we love. Luckily for me, when it comes to answering this question, I don't have to have the answer. One of the books that I'm a big fan of, and I heard about these guys from the American Warrior Society with Mike Seeklander and Rich Brown, fantastic dudes over there, highly skilled, great instructors. And one of their podcasts, if you're not subscribing to that podcast, you definitely should, were these guys, right? So this is K&R Training. They're out of Texas, and this is their book on defensive handgun training, strategies and standards, right? Great book. And what they did was look at the defensive shootings and develop some standards that they thought met the baseline. So I'm talking baseline. There's certainly a lot of area above what they lay out in this book for growth. So being above this baseline that they lay out would be, preferred, but this really lays out like the lowest level you should be at in order to feel like you have the capabilities to use your firearm defensively. They developed, through all their research, their own target. It's a picture of it is in this book. It looks like this. You can get it for free, download it, and print it out. You'll need an 11 by 17 paper. I've got a huge stack of about 100 of them printed out. They're up at the range. If you come and see us for one of our Blue Belt classes where we begin to discuss implementing the firearm defensively, right? White belt is our very beginner basic fundamentals class. Yellow belt adds a little bit to it. By blue belt, we talk about carrying defensively. If you come to see us for one of those classes, you will definitely be seeing this target up on the target stance. I'll put a link down below and you can click and go see it, find their book. But this is the target you would be seeing. And what they've done is lay out a set of standards, right? They're there. I'll put a link to these standards as well. You can access those for free. And each one is set to a 3-second par time. It takes place at 3 yards and 7 yards. Through this list of standards, they address firing one-handed, firing two-handed, weak hand only firing, drawing with movement. They address, all of these various skill sets that have been set to a par time. Sometimes you draw, sometimes you don't, but it's a really good baseline. So when I offer a CWP class, the qualification I would be using for the classes that I would teach would be the ones laid out by Carl Ryan and John Daub. That's just the way to go, right? Tom Gibbons' book and on concealed carry and this book are really the two that, as a concealed weapons permit instructor, that I kind of treat like my Bibles, right? These are absolutely great resources. So I'd highly encourage you to check this out. Click those links below. They're not affiliate links. I don't get anything from it. I'm just trying to share good information with you. That I would set up something like this. It's a 20-round course of fire. If you've got a shot timer, you just set the par time to 3 seconds. You try to accomplish all of these skills in 3 seconds or less. So you can look at things like hands at your side, gun concealed, step to the left, draw, fire, 3 shots to the body with 2 hands, right? That's your first course of fire. Then you would repeat that with a step to the right. You would do one where you start with your firing hand on your gun, support hand on your chest, draw and fire 2 headshots with 2 hands, right? Then you could reload, verify the gun has 5 and only 5 rounds. Hands at side, gun concealed, step to the right, draw, fire 3 shots to the body, 2-handed, right? Holster, step left. Then you can take 1 step forward to 2 yards, firing hand on gun, support hand on chest, draw, fire 2 shots to the body, firing hand only while backing up, right? So it's a series of strings of fire that address the basic principles of concealed carry at distances you're likely to encounter and can set a baseline. And if you're able to meet their standards, then gives you an idea of where you are. If you don't, you know where you can improve upon. If you want to improve upon any of these, you can come see us in class. But if I was to say, as a concealed carrier, and if you're choosing to carry constitutionally without a concealed weapons permit, I get that too. That is absolutely your right. You can still use this book. If you don't want to get the whole book, it's got the research in it, how they came up with the drills, or how they came up with the string of fire, what principles went behind it, how they determined their par times. All that research is in here. It is definitely worth reading if you want to do a deep dive. But, if you don't want to go to the concealed weapons class here in South Carolina, you don't have to in order to carry, but you could print this stuff off for free, run the course of fire, see where you stand, and give yourself some either confidence that, hey, I'm pretty proficient with this tool, or man, maybe there's a few things I should work on before I begin carrying around something that could end up causing me more harm than good, right? It's kind of like knife fights. Like, I don't ever want to be in a knife fight, and introducing a blade into a conflict without a great deal of training and know-how could end up causing you more harm than good. Same thing's true with firearm. That research is done. So to answer that question, I'm going to hold this book up and say, luckily, I don't really have to develop an answer on my own. I've read a dude that's already done all the research for me. So I would start with that one, right? Great resource. One of the other questions came from Jake, and it was, how does my grip change or when I shoot one-handed versus two-handed? So got a couple of red guns here. This awesome one is a replica of what I conceal carry on a regular basis. That's a SIG P365X Macro from Clanton Combatives. Awesome stuff there. And then a 320, which I shoot in competition, the SIG 320 and an M&P. So we'll talk a little bit about what my grip is like two-handed, and then how some adjustment takes place one-handed. So with a two-handed grip, I grip firmly with my firing hand. I generally stay loose enough so that I can move my index finger relatively well am not overly tight here and clenching. I do want some flexibility. And then I let my support hand really clamp down. So when I'm using a full-size pistol, that grip looks a lot like me pushing from my delt or my shoulder into and allowing that clamp to happen, right? When I shoot a pistol that's a smaller frame, one of the things that Mark Smith over at JBS Training, great trainer, guy worth checking out, talked to me about and showed me, I love this, on smaller frames, it's more like I'm bending a horseshoe, trying to bend it straight, and that gives me a little bit more leverage on a smaller frame. So if that's what I'm looking like when I'm two-handed, right? Then what happens when I'm one-handed? Well, one of the things that I do is I increase my pressure a little bit through my ring finger and these two fingers. Just a little bit more downward pressure there since I don't have my support hand to do that work. And generally, I end up raising my thumb up a little bit, and that provides a little pressure this direction on the gun. Since my support hand normally fills that in, then this kind of wedges that pistol in a little bit better for me. I also tend to put a little bit more finger on the trigger when I'm shooting one-handed, right? Either way, right? A little bit extra finger. But the biggest difference I've found in order to be more effective one-handed is what happens with my elbow, right? So when I present out, my elbows do generally go out just a little bit. They're more angled this direction, right? But when I rotate into one-handed, one of the things that I really like is to make sure that my elbow stays down. And what that helps me do is take the recoil in a more direct pattern. So I have a slightly increased bend in my elbow, and it is more down oriented. I kind of make sure, almost like I'm grabbing a book underneath my armpit. And that just helps the recoil to be a little bit more vertical, so I'm not fighting recoil this way as much. And it's a little more here, right? And that's pretty much all that I do differently. I'm still really high up into the beaver tail on the grip of the gun, but a little bit increase in my shooting hand pressure, right? To kind of wedge that in to make this sure this stays firm. A little bit more trigger finger, slightly more hiked up on the thumb instead of the more thumbs forward grip that I normally attain. And like I said, my elbow just generally comes down like I'm trying to hold a book underneath my arm. And that's typically what does really well for me. Even noting that I am cross-eye dominant, as I move this in, I always will take my chin and slightly tuck it towards my clavicle just a little bit, and that opens up my left eye. So bringing this in also assists in me dealing with my cross-eye dominance. And that's the big grip differences that I run when I'm shooting one-handed, right? And I like shooting one-handed. Most people don't. I have found that whatever other people don't like to do shooting wise, like that's what I want to get good at. And it gives me a chance to show off some ambidextrousness. Yeah, I said that well. I'm surprised that word came out like it did. Ambidextrousness. So there's that. And you know what? I figured while we were here, while making a video, I got a couple of packages in today. And I was like, hey, why don't we do some unboxing and see what came in? So this first package from Henry Holsters. This was recommended by the guys over at ASP, Active Self-Protection, John Correa, Christopher Bean, that crew. But they recommended one of these, which is a holster hospital, right? Oh, what do we got? Stickers, nice. Win before the fight. That's the key, I like that saying, win before the fight, right? That's where the training comes in, mental, physical, on the range, and dry fire. You got to win the fight before it happens. So the holster hospital, for those of us that are instructors, I'm hoping this pays dividends. If you're a competition shooter, right, you've got a lot of holsters floating around like I do. I'm hoping this solves a lot of my problems. So the holster hospital, let me come up here to the camera a little bit, all right, is all your spare holster parts. Look at that, it's labeled. So this would be what's up here at the top. Flip it over, it's got all the stuff that's on the bottom. Looks like we got some sort of like thread locker in there, different length, different spacers of stuff. Man, this is fantastic, and all of it is nicely sealed. Oh yeah, right? So you can open one half at a time. You don't have to worry about spilling and losing things. This is going to be in my range bag. So, if you come see us, then you will definitely we'll have solutions if something happens to your holster. We'll be able to fix it. So that's just way too convenient to not have in the arsenal. A little holster hospital. Awesome. Yeah, nicely done, Henry Holsters. Looking forward to saving somebody's day with that thing. Let's see what else we got. The other package looks a little bit bigger. So we'll see what we got there. And this one is from the wonderful folks over at Shooters Connection. Got to give them a shout out. They were having some website problems the other day as they went to update everything. But I gave them a call to get this order in, and you want to talk about super helpful people that know shooting, know shooters, and willing to take care. Like, they're awesome. So let's see what's in here. Actually, let me put this back down. I'll sit down in front of this thing. It's gigantic. Again, like, I get nothing from Henry Holsters. I'm not an affiliate. They don't know who I am. Shooters Connection, they don't know who I am either. I'm just looking for good prices, good customer service. I like it when I call company and they answer, and that's certainly been them. So let's see what Shooters Connection has for us today. I'm guessing the bulk of this will be, yep. All right, we got some Pro Grip Chalk. I have yet to try this out, but I'm expecting the South Carolina humid summers around here. This will be a nice thing to have. So I'll let you guys know how these things work out. So a little bit of grippy. Depending on what we're doing on the weight rack behind me, might work that out. Target pasters, paster tape, right? Like range supplies, gotta have them. Love these in my paster gun. I've seen some people use the tape, so I'm interested to try this tape out and see how efficient and easy to use that is. But, you know, we gotta put holes in things, gotta train, make sure we stay proficient. So those will be nice to have around. And then, I'm not even gonna bother pulling these all the way out. We got a whole bunch of USPSA targets, right? So, big bundle here, right? Of these wonderful targets. They look like they're in great condition. The shipping in this totally protected these. They look fantastic. So should be about 100 or so of those, I think. I'm not gonna count all of them. I'm not at all. Oh, and this is what I'm also super excited about. A dry fire practice mag from Double Alpha Academy, or Double Alpha Gear, right? One of these. And, you know, I dry fire every day. That's what I do. I get up at 4 in the morning, 4:30, read my Bible, journal. That's the first part of my day, right? That's how I got to get things started off. And then I come out into the garage gym area and I dry fire for about 45 minutes. And right now I've been using a regular magazine that I loaded dry fire rounds in. You know, I press ammo. I have a Dillon press, so I made some dry fire rounds, which are just brass casings in the bullet with no primer, no gunpowder, so that I can simulate the weight of a magazine. That way when I'm working a draw, working reloads, it feels like it would really feel. But hoping with this guy, which, you know, feels like a pretty heavy magazine. Actually, let me see. Here we go. Here's the one that I normally dry fire with. I don't know if you can see that, but these rounds don't have, you know, any primer or anything in them, so I know they're dead. I can use that. And, you know, these are very, very similar in weight. Size is really close, so it looks like they did a great job. I'm gonna give this a test run tomorrow. I can come back and give y'all a review on these if that's something you're interested in. But like the purple color, this is supposed to not stop my slide from going back, so I'll be able to rack that in between and not have to remove the magazine. Still gonna keep this, that way I can work reloads. I can drop this one on the floor, not worry about damaging it, and then reload with this one and work reloads that way. So I still plan on implementing this one. I don't know if I'll buy another one in the future and switch them out. I haven't decided, since for reloads this still feels metal and has a slightly different grip at the bottom. I will probably continue to work reloads with the actual magazine, since I already have dry fire bullets, and use this one anytime I want to be dropping a magazine or just to leave in and create that weight. But super stoked about this guy. All right, that's all that came in today, right? Range supplies. as we get into the outdoor shooting season. For me, that never changes. I don't care what the weather is. But, you know, we'll have all this stuff ready for you when you come and see us on the range and get some classes. Again, check out the links to that KR training book that I'll post, and the picture of the target that they have and the course of fire. That's a great place to diagnose your proficiency for concealed carry. And come see us for a class. We've got those all up on the website, dojo-defense.com. I'm Donovan Brooks. Thanks for hanging out with me. I look forward to seeing you on the range. God bless.